had not very long to organise it and get the songs ready, and I was unsure whether we'd be able to do it to start with, but by the end we got it done.
And the students, probably the songs weren't initially part of their repertoire and not part of the kind of songs they would normally associate with, but once they'd heard them, they really were enthused by them, and they thought, wow, let's go for this. And I was amazed how quickly they learned the songs, although they were very complex songs, lots of unusual features. These kids really warmed to the songs, and within a fairly short space of time actually learned a tremendous amount of the music. Tried to commit some of these songs up to performance standard. And that they did very, very well indeed. In fact, one boy committed the entire bass guitar part of all the songs he had to learn to memory within a few days.
I mean, the Sgt Pepper album, that is such, it's like a legendary album, and we thought, well, how are we going to create something like that, because it's just so massive. But we couldn't wait to get hold of the challenge, because it's just, we wanted to like pretend to be the Beatles.
Well, we liked a lot of the Beatles stuff, you know. We've got a few other albums.
But this project has encouraged us to listen more, so now we're familiar with all of the Beatles' works and things.
I suppose the thing about the Sgt Pepper's album is it goes way beyond the standard rock pop song, doesn't it, in terms of the sounds it's using and in terms of the musical influences coming in there. So did you find it was stretching in that way, taking you out of the...
Yes, definitely, because I mean, we play in a band normally and we just go for sort of easy songs where we can just play chords and stuff, but there was lots of little riffs and breaks and things that we had to just get hold of and listen to and then play back, and it was a challenge, but it was a good challenge.
There's unusual instruments as well for a rock band, like an organ, an harpsichord, all that sort of stuff.
On a battlefield of mystic kind, there will be a shelter night, a trampoline. The headless souls will all be there in capitals and defense on the sea. Oh man, the horses, rooms and gardens, vastly on the horse head on the real world. Very mystic kind of
We did a lot of actually listening to the tracks, and instead of just like printing off chords and things, we actually listened and like we play the track and then right, see if we can play this back and see if we can copy what they're doing and get some of the same thing, instrument sounds, and we did a lot of listening to them.
Yeah, so it was a very direct route. You were going from the sound of the album to your sounds rather than going through the printed page, as it were. Oh, that's
Before, as I said, we just used to print chords and just play them, but now it's taken, we're listening to a lot of detail within the tracks, and we're taking it on board, like the skills we learned from Sgt Pepper projects, and we're using it in our work that we do now.
That's very interesting. So you're listening in a much more focused way to the actual sounds.
Yeah. So do you want to come straight in with that? Yeah. So the previous verse goes.
You put the mine out in a car. You didn't notice that the lights had changed. A crowd of people stood and stared. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure what happened in the house.
Every single track on that album was brilliant. So there was a lot to do. It wasn't just all one style either. There was so many different styles of songs, and we were playing all sorts of different things. It was great.
The tracks were really varied as well, you know. You get like a simple song like Sgt Pepper, and then one that's, you know, changes its time, and
When I was 64 and things like that, with clarinets and all sorts involved. I mean, it's, oh, it was good to have like a lot of musicians on board with you, like so you could work with them, because they give you fresh ideas as well. Like, oh, why didn't you do that? Oh, why didn't you do that? So it helped us to create a better song.
really heard of the Beatles that much. So I was kind of thinking, oh, this is going to be a bit difficult, not my style of music, not going to like it, and to be honest, I loved it. I think, personally, I'm not very good at working in teamwork, but after what I've done, and after some of the friends that I've made from the other school, I think I look forward to seeing them in the future and working with them again. What would you do if my love was away? Doesn't worry to be alone. How do I feel at the end of the day? You said because you're on your own. Oh, I get by with
I think it sort of broadens the horizons rather more, because the sort of normal rock repertoire of children nowadays is sometimes a little bit narrow, and this really opens it up to a much wider field of music. And there's such a rich repertoire of pop music, particularly from the 60s, and maybe, you know, the Beatles opens it up to all kinds of other music that students can get involved with. And I do feel that this was a starting point for many students getting involved in other kinds of pop music other than the sort of standard mainstream pop that they're into at the moment. It was a considerable challenge, and as I say, it was a challenge that they relished, and we had a concert which showcased all the songs. We actually worked with other schools, and the teamwork and the excitement that was caused by this concert amongst audiences. It received lots of publicity, and it was just a wonderful night.
What would you do if I sang out a tune? Would you stand on the wall out on me? Lend me your ears and I'll sing you a song, and I'll try not to sing out of key. Oh, I get by with help from my friends.
Rather sad. Well, I just had to laugh. I saw the photograph.
He blew a mine out in a car. He didn't notice that the lights had changed. A crowd of people stood instead. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure to have anything to have to love.
I saw a film today, oh boy. Being charming just from the wall. A crowd of people turned away, but I just had to know I read the
and had a smoke, and somebody spoke. I went into a dream. Holes in Blackburn like a shot. And though the holes were rather small, they had to count them all. Now they know how many holes it takes to fill the hammer ball. I love to turn you
So I've enjoyed it, but it's exciting. It's made me think as an old man, and I'm sure it's done the same for them. When you want to try, I don't know, pop music, rock and roll, we haven't really got a name for it, but there's a line on a Jefferson Airplane album on Volunteers where the line simply says, "We are very young and we are very proud of ourselves." You can hear it in the Beatles, you can certainly hear it in punk rock. That swagger, it's there in Oasis. All those kind of recreations of different generations over that last, 40, 50 years, and you can certainly see that swagger, not an arrogance, it's a musical swagger.